Hello, it's Jim Hutchins for the Jerusalem Connection Truth Report for this week. The parashah for this week is entitled Shalach Lecha. Shalach Lecha translated means send for yourself. And it deals with that Torah portion of the scriptures from Numbers chapter 13 verse 1 through chapter 15 verse 41. And there's a special portion of that passage there, closing portion of it, deals with what in the English translation is tassels on garments. This is what it says. Yahweh said to Moses, speak to the Israelites and say to them, throughout the generations to come, forever, the generations to come, you are to make, and the English is tassels, the Hebrew is tzitzit. These are the little tassels that hang down on the four corners of the garments the Orthodox Jews wear, or on their belts. It has a little blue twine within it. You're to make tzitzit on the corners of your garments with blue cord on each of the tzitzit. You'll have these tzitzit, these tassels, to look at, so you will remember all the commands of Yahweh. It's to be a reminder of all the commands of Yahweh, that you may obey them and not prostitute yourselves by going after your own lusts, the lusts of your own hearts and your own eyes. I am Yahweh your God. Now this was to be something that the Jews would perpetuate through all generations. They do it today. Orthodox, those who take the scriptures seriously, do that. And interestingly enough, Jesus did that. Jesus was an Orthodox Jew, if you will. He kept the feasts and the festivals. He kept Shabbat. And he had the tzitzit on his garments. And we know that because there are occasions that refer to that in the New Testament. For example, in Mark chapter 5, verse 25, we have this account. A large crowd followed and pressed around Jesus. And a woman was there who was subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all that she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When when she heard about Jesus, she came up behind in the crowd to touch his tzitzit, his tassels. The proclamation, the exclamation that he was keeping the commands of God, as a matter of fact. She came up behind him to touch his tzitzit because she thought, if I touch his tzitzit, I will be healed. And immediately her bleeding stopped and she felt in her body that she'd been freed from suffering. Jesus said to her, daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace, be freed from your suffering. What a testimony. What an example of God's grace. You know, that same offer is being made to us today. Jesus says, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I'll come into him, I'll sup with him and he with me. We'll have fellowship together. We'll be in relationship with one another. And we can do as little as reaching out to touch his tzitzit. He's inviting. He says, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone invites me in, and all we need to do is reach out and invite him in. And that can be expressed with as little expression of faith as to reach out and touch the tassels on his garment, his tzitzit. No matter how many promises God has made, they're all yes in Jesus. And that's the truth.